It's midnight. You're a young student on your way home from a late-night study session. Or maybe you're an overworked office worker, catching the last bus of the day. Either way, you find yourself alone at the bus stop under a flickering streetlight, staring out into the pouring rain. The last train has just pulled away and you're debating whether it is worth waiting for the next one when a bus rumbles into view. It's almost empty. Relief washes over you. You hurry to the shelter and climb aboard before it pulls away. The driver glances at you in the rearview mirror, but doesn't acknowledge you. You're not surprised. Some drivers are just taciturn types who don't like to chat. You take a seat near the back of the bus, pull out your phone and bring up your social media feed, half paying attention to the streetlights blurring by outside the window. Every so often you feel a sudden chill run down your spine and you coo and shake the feeling that you're being watched. You glance at the two other passengers who rode the bus. They sat down a long time ago and haven't moved since. One is slumped all the way over in his seat with his eyes closed, while the other woman is bowed forward with her hands resting on her knees. Both are dressed shabbily, and you can't quite make out their faces because they re so far away and shrouded in shadow. You try to shake off this nagging unease. You must have just read too much into those horror stories on Reddit, you think. And with that reassuring thought, you settle back into your seat and continue scrolling mindlessly through your social media feed. Then it happens again. You notice that every time the bus passes a streetlight, the two passengers at the back of the bus lean closer, but they never move their lips. Then you catch sight of the driver. He has taken his eyes off the road for the entire trip. Yes, making no effort to look at you in the rearview mirror. A cold draft suddenly sweeps through the bus, and you realize that all the windows are closed. You reach out to close the gap, then quickly pull back your hand as if burned. The air conditioning isn't working, yet the temperature inside the bus is freezing. Your breath catches in your throat. You check your phone, but you have no signal. How much longer do we have to ride? You wonder, willing the driver to make eye contact with you in the rearview mirror. But he keeps his eyes fixed on the road ahead. You hear whispers behind you, but when you turn around, the two passengers are still and silent. Their mouths aren't moving, but you can feel their gazes boring into the back of your skull. One of the passengers slowly begins to rise from his seat. You watch in growing horror as he limps toward you. His companion remains seated, but she's watching you intently. As the bus approaches a tunnel, the rising passenger disappears from view. You blink, stunned, and when you turn back to your seat, only the woman remains. She's still staring at you, but now the bus is plunged into darkness. Her voice echoes eerily in the sudden quiet. "Don't look back," she whispers, "no matter what." But it's too late. You've already turned to look, and when you do, you see that the tunnel's mouth is filled with rows upon rows of pale, eyeless faces, all reaching toward you. The woman lets out a blood-curdling scream and the faces in the tunnel seem to writhe in anticipation. But it's not just the faces that you see. You also see the hunched figure of the driver in the rearview mirror. His silhouette is twisted into a grotesque grin. The bus shudders to a halt. You jolt awake with a gasp. Your heart is pounding in your chest, but it's just a nightmare, you tell yourself, relieved to be back in the relative safety of your bedroom. You lie still for a moment, listening to the sounds of the city slowly waking up outside your window. Then, you sit up and look around. You're still on the bus, but it's no longer empty. Every seat is filled with the same eyeless passengers from your nightmare, all silently staring at you. You turn to look at the driver, but he's facing forward, a cruel smile on his face. "End of the line," he says quietly. The screen fades to black. The last thing Alex remembered was dozing off on the bus. It was late. The kind of late where all the other commuters had given up on catching the subway and were hailing cabs instead. He had been cramming for finals, so he didn't notice the bus stop at first. By the time he did, it was too late. He'd missed his stop, and now he was riding an almost empty bus at midnight. There was only one other passenger, a woman who sat down 2 seats behind him. She didn't say a word, and neither did the man who sat across from her. Alex didn't think much of it. It was a long bus ride home, and it was late. Most people would be asleep by now. As the bus rumbled past streetlight after streetlight, though, Alex noticed something odd. The two passengers in the back seemed to get closer with each flicker of light. When the bus stopped at the next stop, Alex looked at his phone. There was no signal. "What was he Some kind of wizard? Why else would there be no reception at 12:01 a.m.? Then he heard it. Someone was whispering behind him. Alex turned around, but the woman and the man hadn't moved. Their mouths were shut, yet their lips were moving. They were whispering. Suddenly, the bus lurched forward. Alex braced himself, nearly choking on his spit as the bus shot through a tunnel. When it emerged on the other side, he turned to face the front again. One of the passengers was gone. Only the man remained, and he was staring at Alex. Alex swallowed, his throat dry. Why were they whispering? Was he in danger? Before he could ponder any further, the driver spoke up. His voice was raspy and low, like sandpaper on wood. "Don't look back," he said, "no matter what." Alex felt a chill run down his spine, but he couldn't help himself. Every instinct in his body was screaming at him to get away, to turn around and run. But that was impossible. He was stuck on a bus with a crazy driver and a missing passenger. With shaking hands, Alex took out his phone and tried to call 911, but his hands were shaking too much. All he got was a dial tone and then the click of the call failing. Then he heard the footsteps, slow, dragging steps coming closer. Alex whipped around. The man was walking toward him. His eyes were wide and his breathing was shallow, but Alex couldn't take his eyes off those footsteps. They echoed oddly, loudly inside the bus. With every step, the man drew closer. Terror surged through Alex. What did the driver mean when he said not to look back? Why was the man walking so slowly? And why were there no other cars on the road? The driver wasn't helping, just staring straight ahead. As the man approached, Alex scrambled back. He had to get away, but where could he go? The bus was going nowhere. It was stuck in traffic. "Please," he choked out. "Stop, please." The driver didn't respond. The man was upon him now, his face inches from his. Startled, Alex finally looked back. It wasn't the man. It was someone else. Not someone. Something. Dozens of pale, eyeless faces were crowding the bus, reaching forward with gnarled hands. All around him, the whispering grew louder, their voices raspy and inhuman. Then, as suddenly as it started, it was over. Alex jolted upright in his seat. It was just a nightmare. The bus lurched to a halt, and the door hissed open. Shaking, Alex stumbled out onto the sidewalk, relief flooding him as he realized it was just a dream. He looked back at the bus. It was still moving, inching forward on the road. Relief washed over him. A had made Italiano. He had survived the night. He quickened his pace, eager to put the nightmare behind him. As he walketh, Alex glanced back at the bus. It was getting closer, creeping forward. Then he saw them, the same pale faces he had seen in his dream. Dozens of eyeless passengers staring at him. They were silent, but their stares were deafening. The bus was upon him in an instant. As Alex screamed and stumbled back, he saw the driver turn around. He had a wide grin on his face. "End of the line," he rasped, and Alex screamed as the world went black.